The discovery of the alien artifact on Mars marked the beginning of humanity's transformation from an insignificant species to the Galactic Vanguard. The artifact, buried deep within the planet's crust, had remained untouched for millennia, hidden by the very sands of time itself. Its origins were a mystery. No one knew who had placed it there or why. What was clear was that it was a key to something much larger than anyone could comprehend. The first to uncover it were a team of scientists from the United Earth Space Agency, tasked with exploring Mars' unexplored regions for resources. Dr. Elena Morrow, the lead archaeologist, stood at the edge of the excavation site, her heart pounding in anticipation. She had felt it, a strange energy that pulsed from deep within the planet, a call to something beyond. When the team cracked open the surface and uncovered the glowing, crystalline structure beneath, the world changed forever. The moment they touched the artifact, data streams flooded into their minds, cryptic symbols and incomprehensible images, showing star systems, ancient wars, and a civilization beyond anything Earth had ever imagined. The data was overwhelming, yet the message became clear. The galaxy was on the verge of destruction. A dark force, known only as the Reapers, had once wiped out entire civilizations, and now they were returning. The artifact's message revealed that humanity had unknowingly crossed the threshold into this galactic conflict. It was no coincidence that they had found it. Humanity, with its unyielding spirit and capacity for innovation, was to be the key to stopping the Reapers. But the message was not just a warning, it was a call to action. The galaxy was watching, waiting for a species to rise. A species that could lead the charge against a force older than time itself. Elena was the first to fully understand the gravity of the situation. She knew the world would change overnight. She activated the device embedded in the artifact, which transmitted its contents directly to Earth's leaders. Within hours, the news spread globally. The Reapers were real, and humanity had been chosen to face them. The world's governments, once fractured by internal divisions, began to unite. Leaders set aside their differences and gathered in the newly constructed United Earth Government Assembly. Their first decree was simple: prepare for war. As the human race came to terms with this new reality, the United Earth Forces, UEF, were restructured into a singular, massive fighting force, an elite military coalition called the Vanguard. Composed of the brightest minds from across the world, the Vanguard's mission was clear: lead humanity and its new alien allies into battle. The challenge ahead was monumental, but humanity had proven its ability to adapt to the impossible. This was their moment to prove they were more than just survivors. They were leaders. The first steps were slow. Earth was still reeling from the implications of the discovery, and the preparation for war seemed like an impossible task. Yet as the months passed, the Vanguard grew. Military bases were constructed in every corner of the globe, research facilities blossomed, and the first human-built warships began to take shape in orbit. The people of Earth watched as their leaders gathered in secret, formulating strategies that would eventually take them beyond their home planet and into the stars. Dr. Morrow, now appointed as the lead strategist for the Vanguard, stood before the newly formed Council of Leaders, holding the artifact in her hands. The faint, otherworldly hum of the device was a constant reminder of the challenge ahead. She addressed the assembly, knowing that the next words she spoke would define humanity's future. The Reapers have never faced a species like us. They think we're weak, but we're not. We will lead the charge. We will show the galaxy that humanity is unyielding. The room fell silent. It was the beginning of something far greater than any of them had ever imagined. Humanity's journey to the stars was about to take its first steps, not as an insignificant player, but as the leader of the galaxy's last stand. The tension in the room was palpable as humanity's newly formed Vanguard coalition gathered for its first major operation. After months of preparation, it was time to strike. The Reapers, a force so ancient and terrifying that they had been relegated to myth and whispers, were no longer a distant threat. They were here, and they had already begun their campaign to subjugate the stars. The Vanguard's first target was a small but strategic system, located on the edge of Reaper-controlled space. The system, once thriving with life, was now on the brink of annihilation. The Reapers had attacked, their fleet swarming through the outer planets, and the inhabitants were on the verge of extinction. Humanity's response would be a test of its resolve. Could they, a species just learning the ways of the galaxy, stand against such an overwhelming enemy? The fleet assembled at the edge of the system, a mix of human warships and alien vessels that had pledged their support to the Vanguard's cause. The ships were crude compared to Reaper technology, their hulls patched together with salvaged materials, and their weapons still untested. But there was something the Reapers did not understand: humanity's capacity for innovation and the raw determination to protect what was theirs. The fleet, although inexperienced, was ready. Admiral Marcus Kane, one of the Vanguard's most seasoned leaders, stood on the command deck of the flagship Unity. His sharp eyes scanned the tactical display, showing the looming threat of the Reaper Armada just beyond the system's asteroid belt. "This is it," he said, his voice calm but carrying the weight of the moment. "We hold the line here, or we lose everything. All ships, ready for battle." Aboard the Unity, Dr. Alina Morrow was busy analyzing the intelligence gathered from the artifact. Using its data, the Vanguard had discovered a weakness in the Reaper's fleet, an inconsistency in their attack patterns. They were overconfident, assuming that any resistance from lesser species would crumble. Alina had a different idea. "We have one chance," she said, turning to Kane. "The Reapers expect a direct confrontation. We hit them where they least expect it." The plan was risky, but it was the only option. The Unity and a select group of human ships would create a diversion in the outer rim of the system, drawing the Reapers into a trap. Meanwhile, a small fast strike force would infiltrate the heart of their fleet and disable their command ship. If they could take out the nerve center of the Reaper strategy, they would be able to cripple their forces and force a retreat. As the Vanguard's fleet charged into the heart of the battle, the true nature of the Reaper threat became clear. Their ships were enormous, black, and angular, their weapons designed for sheer devastation. The sheer size of the enemy fleet would have been enough to intimidate any other species, but not humanity. The Unity's cannons roared to life, unleashing blasts of energy that tore into the Reaper ships. But the real surprise came from the human ships, who fought with an unpredictability that the Reapers had never seen. The battle raged as the Vanguard's forces pushed forward. Their tactics were unorthodox, using civilian ships converted into war vessels to disrupt Reaper formations, hiding in asteroid fields, and using their limited resources to outsmart their enemy. And then, as the Reaper's attention was fixed on the decoy, the strike force led by Captain Lila Reyes broke through their defenses. With precision, they infiltrated the heart of the Reaper fleet, targeting the command ship's weak points identified from the artifact's data. It was a desperate gamble, but it worked. The Reaper flagship exploded in a burst of fire and energy, sending shockwaves through their entire fleet. The Reapers, stunned and disoriented, faltered in their assault. The Vanguard seized the moment, launching a full-scale counterattack. Admiral Kane watched as the Reapers began to retreat, their once invincible fleet breaking apart in disarray. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw that the Reapers were not invulnerable. Humanity had struck the first blow. "This is just the beginning," Kane said, his voice steady with resolve. "But we've shown them something they never expected. We will lead this fight, and we will win." The Vanguard's victory was a turning point, a spark that ignited hope across the galaxy. The Reapers were not unstoppable. Humanity, with its unyielding spirit and unorthodox strategies, had proven that they could lead the charge against the darkness. The war had only just begun, but humanity had already shown it could stand toe-to-toe with the ancient enemy and emerge victorious. The Vanguard's unexpected victory against the Reapers in the outer system sent shockwaves through the galaxy. But despite their triumph, the truth weighed heavily on humanity's leaders. The Reapers had retreated, but not out of defeat. They were calculating, cold, and relentless. The war was far from over. The question remained, how could humanity maintain this momentum against a foe that had wiped out entire civilizations in the past? Dr. Elena Morrow, now a key strategist for the Vanguard, found herself staring into the artifact's enigmatic crystal once again. After weeks of decoding its cryptic messages, one thing had become abundantly clear. Humanity had something that could change the tide of the war, but it came at a terrible price. Deep within the artifact's hidden layers, Elena uncovered a map, a set of coordinates that led to an ancient facility on a distant, uncharted planet. The facility was said to house a weapon, a relic of an ancient race that had once fought the Reapers. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen, capable of destroying entire fleets with a single blast. The weapon, however, had a catch. To power it, a rare energy source was required, an energy that could only be harvested from the core of a dying star. The task ahead was monumental. It would mean sending a team of soldiers and scientists to the farthest reaches of Reaper-controlled space, where danger awaited at every turn. But humanity had no choice. This was their one shot at leveling the playing field. Admiral Marcus Kane, still reeling from the cost of the first victory, was hesitant but resolute. "If this weapon is real, we need it," he said. "But getting to it won't be easy. The Reapers will have that facility under heavy guard. We'll need to move quickly and quietly." With the Vanguard's forces stretched thin across multiple fronts, it was clear that only a small, elite team could make the journey. The operation, codenamed Operation Eclipse, would involve a combined human and alien crew, chosen for their specific expertise. The mission was classified, and those selected knew that failure wasn't an option. If they succeeded, humanity would have a weapon capable of striking fear into the heart of the Reapers. If they failed, it could mean the end of everything. Captain Leela Reyes, fresh off her success in the first battle, was chosen to lead the mission. Her tactical brilliance and unshakable courage made her the perfect candidate for such a high-risk operation. But even she knew the stakes. "We're not just going to retrieve a weapon," she said to her crew during their briefing. "We're going to change the course of this war. We'll face Reaper ships, but we'll also face the unknown. We need to be ready for anything." The mission began with a daring approach. The team's stealth ships, designed to avoid Reaper detection, glided through space, using asteroid fields and dark matter clouds to mask their movements. The Reapers, still reeling from their defeat in the outer system, were caught off guard by the sudden intrusion into their space. The Vanguard team infiltrated the facility, located on a barren, icy planet far from the nearest star. Inside, the ancient weapon lay dormant, huge, alien in design, and complex. But it was more than just a weapon. It was a testament to the ingenuity of a species that had once faced the Reapers and survived. The crew worked swiftly, extracting the weapon's core and preparing it for transport. But as they did, a chilling realization swept over them. The Reapers had known they would come. The team's location was compromised. Reaper ships descended from the void, their sleek, terrifying forms emerging from the shadows. The battle for the facility was fierce, with human and alien forces fighting side by side. In a heart-pounding sequence of attacks and counterattacks, Captain Reyes led the charge, directing her crew to hold their ground long enough to secure the weapon. As the team made their escape, the Reapers unleashed everything they had, determined to stop the weapon from leaving. But humanity's ingenuity and sheer determination proved stronger. With the weapon in tow, the Vanguard team barely managed to escape, their ship battered but intact. Back aboard the Unity, Dr. Morrow wasted no time. "We have the weapon. Now we just need to power it." But they were not out of danger yet. The Reapers were closing in, and time was running out. The weapon was their last hope, but would it be enough? Would humanity be able to wield it in time to stop the Reapers' inevitable return? As the Vanguard prepared for their next move, one thing was certain: humanity had no intention of backing down. The war was just beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity had only just begun to show its strength. The weapon was now in humanity's hands, but its potential remained untapped. The Reapers were relentless, and even as the Vanguard celebrated their victory, the shadow of impending doom loomed over them. The Reapers were not the type to retreat for long, and their response to the loss of the weapon was swift and brutal. Days after the Vanguard's return, a chilling message arrived from the outer colonies. The Reapers had begun their final assault on Earth. No longer content with merely eliminating distant outposts, they had set their sights on the cradle of humanity itself. Earth, once a bustling hub of civilization, was now on the edge of destruction. Admiral Marcus Kane stood before the assembled military council in the command center of the Unity, the flagship of the Vanguard. His voice was steady, but there was an unmistakable edge of urgency. The Reapers are coming, and this time they're bringing everything they have. Earth's planetary defenses were formidable, but the Reapers' weapons were beyond anything humanity had faced. The Reapers' fleet, a towering armada of black ships, loomed over the planet like a storm cloud, blotting out the sun. Their assault began with a barrage of energy beams that struck Earth's cities with devastating precision, reducing iconic structures to rubble in seconds. Entire regions were swallowed by the relentless bombardment. But the Vanguard was ready, or at least they had to be. As the first wave of Reaper ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere, humanity's military responded in kind. Fighter jets streaked across the sky, joining forces with the Vanguard's warships in a desperate attempt to intercept the oncoming onslaught. From every corner of the planet, soldiers rallied to defend their homes. The world had never seen such unity, as people from every nation set aside their differences and stood shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy. On the ground, the battle was no less intense. The Reapers unleashed their terrifying ground forces, machine soldiers designed to obliterate everything in their path. As they stormed Earth's cities, their terrifying mechanical limbs crushed buildings and civilians alike. The Vanguard's forces, equipped with alien technology and human ingenuity, fought back with everything they had, but it was clear the Reapers' forces vastly outnumbered them. Inside Earth's last line of defense, the weapon the Vanguard had retrieved from the ancient facility was ready. Dr. Alina Morrow had been working tirelessly with the alien allies to harness the weapon's immense power. She knew that this was their only chance to turn the tide. The weapon's energy core was capable of disabling entire fleets, if they could harness it properly. But there was a problem. It needed time to charge, and the Reapers were closing in fast. If they didn't act quickly, humanity's last hope would become a death sentence for those in the immediate vicinity. Admiral Kane, standing beside Morrow in the command center, made the difficult call. "We're going to risk everything on this weapon. Prepare to fire on my command." With the Reapers descending upon Earth, the Vanguard took their position in orbit, preparing to unleash the weapon's devastating power. Meanwhile, on the ground, humanity's defenses held out as long as they could, with soldiers engaging in hand-to-hand combat against the Reaper forces. Each inch of Earth was a battleground, but with each passing moment, the planet's survival grew more uncertain. As the weapon's energy levels finally reached critical mass, Dr. Morrow activated it. A brilliant beam of light shot from the core, illuminating the heavens above Earth. It tore through space, an unstoppable wave of energy that collided with the Reaper fleet in an explosion of light. For a brief moment, it seemed as if time itself had stopped. The massive Reaper ships, once so imposing, began to crumble, their systems failing in an instant as the weapon's energy washed over them. but the victory was bittersweet. The Reapers, though wounded, were not completely vanquished. Their retreat was temporary, and they would be back. Earth had been saved for now. Yet the war was far from over. Admiral Kane stood on the command deck of the Unity, watching as the last remnants of the Reaper fleet retreated into the depths of space. The loss of life was immeasurable, but humanity had held on. They had proven their strength, their unity, and their resilience. The Reapers now knew that they faced an enemy that would not yield. "We've won the battle," Kane said, his voice somber but resolute. "But the war is far from over. We've bought ourselves time, and now we're going to make sure it counts." The siege of Earth had ended in victory, but the true test for humanity was only just beginning. The Reapers would return, and humanity had to be ready. With Earth still standing, the Vanguard prepared to take the next step in their fight, a fight that would take them to the very edge of the galaxy and beyond. The moment the last of the Reaper ships vanished into the vastness of space, a fragile calm settled over Earth. The world had been saved, but the victory was hollow. The battlefield stretched far beyond the physical realm of Earth's skies, and humanity knew it had merely bought itself a fleeting moment of peace. The Reapers would regroup, adapt, and return, stronger, deadlier, and more determined than ever. Admiral Marcus Kane stood in the dimly lit war room aboard the Unity, staring out at the empty void where the Reapers had once dominated. The victory over Earth had been monumental, but the cost had been high. Entire cities lay in ruins, millions of lives had been lost, and the remnants of humanity's military forces were severely depleted. The Reapers had done their damage, but they had also left behind something else, an ominous warning. A transmission had intercepted the Vanguard's communications in the days following the battle, a cryptic message encoded in Reaper technology. Alina Morrow had spent countless hours decrypting the transmission, and when the message became clear, the consequences were dire. The Reapers were not merely a singular enemy, they were part of something much larger, a network of ancient civilizations that had fallen to a darkness far more terrifying than the Reapers themselves. And now, this network had turned its attention to humanity. "This isn't just about us anymore," Alina said, her voice grim as she gathered the senior leaders of the Vanguard. "The Reapers aren't acting alone. They've just been the front lines of a much larger war, a war that humanity now has a stake in. If we don't act, we risk becoming another footnote in galactic history." The message from the Reapers had been simple, yet chilling. It contained coordinates, locations scattered across the galaxy where the Reapers had begun gathering their forces. But hidden among the static and broken language was a more disturbing revelation. The Reapers were preparing a weapon capable of wiping out entire star systems in an instant. They had already begun constructing it, and it was being built within the heart of a collapsing star, an event that would give them the power to destroy any planet in their path. The weapon, known only as the Convergence, was capable of creating a singularity, a black hole, at the heart of any planetary system. Once activated, the Convergence would tear apart entire fleets, destabilize planets, and wipe out any civilization caught within its reach. "We can't let this happen," Admiral Kane said, his voice hardening with resolve. "The Reapers have already shown what they can do. If they finish the Convergence, no force in the galaxy will be able to stop them. We need to take the fight to them, and we need to do it now." The decision was made. The Vanguard would strike at the heart of Reaper territory, a daring mission to destroy the Convergence before it could be activated. But the plan was risky. Nobody knew exactly where the Reapers were building it, and any attempt to infiltrate their space would be met with fierce resistance. The Vanguard would need to move quickly, strike hard, and most importantly, remain united. Failure would mean the end of humanity and any hope of defeating the Reapers. Captain Leela Reyes, still recovering from the harrowing battles on Earth, was once again called to lead the mission. Her experience on the front lines had proven invaluable, And now, as humanity's best hope, she was tasked with leading the team to what could be their final battle. "We've been through hell together," she said, addressing the team of soldiers, engineers, and scientists who had volunteered for the mission. "But this is something different. This is about saving everything we fought for. We go in, we find the convergence, and we destroy it, no matter the cost." As the Vanguard prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, the galaxy was watching. Allies, both human and alien, rallied behind them, their hope reignited by the courage and resolve humanity had shown in the face of annihilation. The Reapers might have thought they had broken Earth, but humanity had proven they could never be conquered. With the fate of the galaxy at stake, the Vanguard set its course for Reaper space, their hearts steeled for the war ahead. The Reapers had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now the true reckoning would begin. The Vanguard fleet slipped silently through the cold expanse of Reaper-controlled space, their ships cloaked in the void of deep space, hidden from detection. This was humanity's most dangerous mission to date, one that could alter the course of the galaxy. They were heading straight into the heart of enemy territory, to a place where the Reaper's power was at its peak, to destroy a weapon that could turn the tide of the war. Captain Leela Reyes stood on the bridge of the Unity, the flagship of the Vanguard, her gaze fixed on the view screen. The stars stretched before them like an endless sea, and ahead, the dark shadow of the Reaper Armada loomed. The task was clear: infiltrate the Reaper system, find the convergence, and destroy it before it could be activated. There was no margin for error. "We're on approach," Leela said, her voice steady but filled with the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. "Keep your wits sharp. The Reapers are everywhere, and we're walking right into their den." Admiral Marcus Kane, who had remained on the Unity to oversee the mission, stood beside her. He nodded grimly. "The Reapers have no reason to believe we're capable of this. Let's use that to our advantage. If we stay hidden long enough, we might just make it to the heart of their operation before they realize what's coming." But Leela knew that the Reapers were more cunning than anyone could give them credit for. Even with their cloaking technology and stealth maneuvers, the Vanguard was operating in enemy territory that had been shaped by millennia of Reaper dominance. As they neared the coordinates, the sense of impending danger grew stronger. Every nerve in her body screamed that they were being watched, that the Reapers were anticipating their every move. The Vanguard's assault team was small but powerful, composed of elite soldiers, engineers, and scientists. Their objective was simple but deadly: penetrate the heart of the Reaper stronghold, infiltrate the facility where the convergence was being built, and destroy it. If they could succeed, it would be humanity's greatest triumph. If they failed, the Reapers would have a weapon that could annihilate everything. They arrived at the outskirts of the Reaper system, where the massive black ships hung ominously in the void, their forms barely visible against the inky backdrop of space. Leela and her team boarded their assault ship, a sleek, heavily armed vessel designed for precision strikes and infiltration. The plan was to slip past the Reaper ships undetected and make their way to the facility on a barren moon, where the convergence was being constructed. With the Reaper's vigilance at its peak, they could not afford any mistakes. As the assault ship cut through the darkness, Leela's mind raced. What awaited them on the surface of that dead world? And how long would they have before the Reapers realized they were there? In the depths of the ship, Dr. Alina Mara worked furiously, her hands moving over the holographic interface as she calibrated the weapon. They had retrieved the ancient artifact's core, and now they had to use it to disable the Reaper's energy grid and weaken their forces. If they didn't succeed in disabling their defense systems, they would be sitting ducks the moment the Reapers noticed them. Time was their enemy. "We're in position," Leela said, her voice taut with concentration. "Prepare for landing. Everyone knows their roles. In and out as fast as we can." The assault team descended through the atmosphere of the barren moon, the world's desolate surface appearing below them, an endless expanse of jagged rocks and cold, lifeless dust. The facility was hidden deep within a crater, guarded by an army of Reaper ground forces. But it was the only chance they had. As the ship touched down, the team scrambled out, weapons raised, eyes scanning the horizon. Leela led the way, her tactical instincts honed to perfection. They moved swiftly through the facility, avoiding detection as they navigated its labyrinthine halls. Every moment felt like a countdown to disaster. They reached the heart of the facility, a cavernous chamber where the convergence was being assembled, an enormous, pulsating core at its center, surrounded by Reaper forces working to power it. "We're almost there," Lila said, her voice a whisper over the comms. "Get ready." Dr. Mara's voice crackled in her ear. "The artifact is online. The power core is ready. We only have one shot at this. If we miss, the weapon will fully charge in less than an hour." Leela nodded grimly. The stakes had never been higher. They were close now, too close, but the Reapers had known they were coming all along, and as Leela's team moved forward, they realized they had just walked into the heart of a deadly trap. The Reapers were ready. The real fight was about to begin. As the Vanguard assault team crept through the dark, metallic halls of the Reaper facility, an unsettling silence enveloped them. Every footstep echoed like a countdown to their doom. The faint hum of Reaper machinery resonated through the walls, a chilling reminder that their enemy's power was all around them. They were deep inside the heart of the Reaper war machine, and there was no turning back now. Captain Leela Reyes motioned for her team to halt, her senses sharpened. The facility was eerily quiet, as though the Reapers had expected their intrusion and were letting them play into their hands. She couldn't shake the feeling that they had already been spotted. She gave a brief nod to her second-in-command, Surgeon Aiden Drake, signaling him to move forward and scout ahead. "I don't like this, Captain," Drake muttered under his breath as he disappeared into the shadows. A tense silence followed, but within moments he reappeared, his face grim. "The Reapers are waiting for us. They've set up barricades in the next chamber. No way we're getting to the convergence without a fight." Leela's heart raced, but her expression remained stoic. "Then we fight. Prepare for engagement." The team advanced cautiously, their weapons primed and ready. They had no choice but to push forward. They had come too far, and humanity's last hope rested on their ability to stop the convergence from reaching full power. As they entered the central chamber, the vast space came into view, an enormous, cavernous area dominated by the convergence device. It was a massive, pulsating core suspended in midair, its energy radiating outward, casting an eerie glow on everything around it. The Reaper soldiers, mechanical beings with glowing red eyes and unrelenting efficiency, were busy working to integrate the final components of the device. The room was lined with massive support pillars, each carrying a web of energy conduits that fed the convergence's growing power. But the moment the Vanguard team stepped into the room, the stillness shattered. The Reaper's eyes snapped to them, and a horrible screeching noise echoed through the chamber as the ground began to shake. The Reapers had been waiting, their ambush unleashed in an instant. Leela's team opened fire immediately, their weapons cutting through the air with precision. The first wave of Reaper soldiers fell, their metallic forms crumpling to the floor with unnatural shrieks. But more kept coming as the Reapers' relentless forces poured in from every direction. The Vanguard was outnumbered, but they had the one advantage that had carried them this far: human tenacity. "We need to move," Leela shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Get to the convergence now." Surgeon Drake, along with several others, made a break for the convergence core. They reached the base of the massive device, its energy rippling with power, and Dr. Alina Morrow began the delicate task of inserting the artifact's energy core into the convergence's power system. As the team fought off wave after wave of Reapers, the air thick with the sound of gunfire and the shrill screeches of the enemy, Leela felt the weight of time pressing in on her. The Reapers were not going down easily. Their soldiers were relentless, their weapons more advanced than anything humanity had encountered before. A massive Reaper soldier, towering over the others, charged toward Leela, its deadly arm raised to strike. She barely ducked in time, rolling away and firing her plasma rifle at the creature's exposed weak spot. It crumpled to the ground, but another, even larger Reaper was already charging at her. "Leela, it's done." Elena's voice crackled through her comms. Leela turned, her heart pounding. Dr. Morrow had successfully inserted the artifact's core into the convergence device. The machine began to hum louder, the energy field flickering erratically as the artifact's power surged through it. "We've activated it," Morrow continued. "Now we need to get out now." Leela's team fell back, the sound of Reaper fire intensifying around them. The walls trembled as the convergence device began to destabilize, the immense energy flowing from the artifact causing a violent chain reaction within the Reaper machinery. The Vanguard fought tooth and nail to clear a path to the extraction point, each step more desperate than the last. With every blast and every moment of resistance, the device reached critical mass. The convergence was about to implode. "It's going to go. Everyone out," Leela shouted, her voice raw with urgency. The team raced toward their extraction point, but the Reapers weren't finished yet. The facility began to collapse around them as the energy released by the convergence surged outward, destabilizing the very structure of the facility. The ground shook, and explosions rocked the building as parts of the ceiling began to cave in. The team barely made it to the extraction ship, their breath ragged, bloodied, and exhausted from the relentless fight. As the ship took off, the facility exploded behind them, a brilliant flash of light and energy that sent shockwaves through the surrounding space. The convergence was gone. The Reaper's greatest weapon had been destroyed. But as the Vanguard fleet made its way back to safety, Leela couldn't shake the feeling that their victory had come at too great a cost. The war was far from over. The Reapers had been dealt a blow, but they were far from finished, and the true reckoning for humanity was just beginning. The Vanguard fleet sailed through the silent expanse of space, leaving the shattered remains of the Reaper facility behind. The crew aboard the Unity was battered, their bodies worn from the relentless battles, but their spirits were lifted by the success of their mission. The convergence, the Reaper's ultimate weapon, had been destroyed, and the threat of galactic annihilation had been averted, at least for the time being. But as Captain Leela Reyes stood at the helm of the Unity, a gnawing sense of unease settled in her chest. The Reapers had been dealt a blow, but they were far from defeated. The war was far from over. The mission had been a victory, yes, but it came at a staggering cost. Many lives had been lost in the battle to destroy the convergence, and Earth cities were still recovering from the damage wrought by the Reaper assault. Though the immediate threat had been eliminated, the Reapers would not be dissuaded for long. They were a relentless, ancient race, and humanity had only just begun to understand the full scope of the war they were caught in. In the war room aboard the Unity, Admiral Marcus Kane addressed the surviving members of the Vanguard leadership. His expression was serious, the weight of the galaxy's future pressing down on him. "We've done something no one thought was possible," he began. "We've struck a serious blow to the Reapers, and they've been pushed back. But this is not a time for celebration. We've shown them what humanity is capable of, but now we need to prepare for what comes next." Leela stood beside him, her eyes focused on the star map that flickered in front of them. "The Reapers are regrouping," she said, her voice firm. "They'll adapt, and when they return, we need to be ready. The war won't be decided in a single strike." Dr. Alina Morrow, who had been integral to their success, added, "We need to expand our knowledge. We've barely scratched the surface of what the Reapers can do, and the convergence was only one part of their larger plan. There are more weapons out there, more technology we can't even begin to understand. We need to find those and turn them against the Reapers before they use them on us." Kane nodded, his mind already turning over the implications of Elena's words. Agreed, we can't afford to be reactive anymore. We need to be proactive. We'll need allies, more than we've had so far. We can't face this alone. Leela's thoughts drifted to the distant colonies and the allies they had gathered along the way, alien races who had seen the threat of the Reapers firsthand, and who now stood with humanity in this galactic struggle. The alliances they forged were essential, but trust and cooperation across such vast distances would take time to strengthen, and even then, would it be enough? As they discussed strategy, a sudden transmission interrupted their meeting. The signal was faint, fragmented, but it was unmistakable. The transmission was from one of the human colonies, located on the fringe of Reaper space. The voice on the other end was desperate, frantic. "They're coming," the voice crackled. "We're under attack. The Reapers, there." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. Kane slammed his fist on the table, his anger boiling over. "They're not waiting. We don't have time to prepare. We need to move now." The Vanguard's fleet shifted into high gear, its ships jumping into hyperdrive toward the distant colony. As they moved at full speed, Leela stood on the bridge, staring at the stars outside, her mind racing. The battle for humanity's survival was far from won. They had only delayed the inevitable, and the Reapers were already returning to strike back. But as the Vanguard fleet surged forward, a sense of unity and purpose filled the air. Humanity had been tested, and time again, they had proven they would not be cowed by any foe. The Reapers may have had the power to destroy civilizations, but humanity had something they didn't: the unyielding drive to fight for their future, to adapt, and to rise from the ashes of every defeat. The Reapers were not just facing humanity anymore. They were facing a force that would never surrender, no matter the cost. "We'll give them hell," Leela said quietly, her voice filled with determination. Admiral Kane turned to face her, his expression resolute. "Yes, and when they come, we'll be ready." The Vanguard fleet shot forward, racing toward the next battle, and as the stars streaked by in their wake, humanity's resolve burned brighter than ever before. The war was not over, but this time, the Reapers were not facing an easy conquest. This time, humanity was leading the charge, and they would not yield.